And now you said the word grandiose. And so when people think narcissist, they think this is like, hey, everybody, look at me. I'm amazing.
Yep.
Can it be someone who's not like that? That's kind of
Yep.
like quiet, reserved, looks like an amazing person, amazing husband, amazing father or mother. Could it be someone like that?
Yes, I love that. So there's multiple research studies, multiple articles talking about all different types of narcissism. The three that I most commonly talk about with my clients or when I'm in a setting like this would be the grandiose, which most people understand the grandiose narcissist. It's a center of attention, smart, attractive, charismatic, all of those things. But then these other two types of narcissism are not as openly talked about that I ensure that people are aware of. And one is the covert narcissist, and one is the depressive narcissist, which often catches people off guard. So starting with the covert, that's exactly like you described. This could be the family man, basketball coach, always home for dinner, has all these great qualities, known in the community, can still have a lot of narcissistic tendencies. We actually see a lot of narcissism in the helping profession. So teaching, coaching, therapy, pastors. A lot of times the narcissism shows up in that. And that is when we go back to this fragile sense of self, that is often where they're feeding the ego. Because in all of those roles, they are often really esteemed and looked highly upon by the community. And so that is exactly where they're feeding it. And when we look a lot deeper, so in sessions, when we're kind of digging in, maybe I'm sitting there with the codependent partner and they're like, no, my partner's so amazing and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, but let's dig in. Let's see really where these narcissistic tendencies are coming up. And the other with the depressive is even more catches people off guard because we think, how could a depressed individual be a narcissist? When in fact, often the depressed narcissist, they are still the center of their partner's world because their partner is doting on them and their depressive tendencies. They make it a point to take care of them, to put all of their needs aside so that they're okay. And so we really do see narcissism come up just as commonly in a covert or depressive manner, which people can easily overlook.
This is so important to talk about because automatically people think the, hey, look at me type person and not the other. And I didn't even know about the depressive type. That's crazy. And that even makes it even more difficult. So now we're going to talk about why do women, and we're saying women because most of my listeners are women, why are women attracted to these types of people? And, what is it about us that get attracted to these people?
Yes, good question. And to your point, I am going to keep it geared towards women. And so this topic is very applicable to all genders, but I'm going to gear it towards your question of women specifically. So the narcissistic man, if we're going to talk about the most common narcissistic type of that grandiose, and we'll kind of add in the covert as well. The depressive is less common. And so let's talk more about the grandiose and the covert. These individuals present very confidently. They are charismatic, they are charming, they are attractive, and when we say attractive, I really like to ensure people understand what you and I find attractive, physically attractive, may be two different things, but the way a man presents that makes him attractive, we're likely going to have similarities in that. And so that attraction is more about the presentation of that individual, maybe really well groomed, well dressed, just exudes a sense of confidence. When we think about it from an evolutionary perspective, women are drawn to the protector provider. Okay, we want a man who's going to keep us safe, who's going to put dinner on the table, who we don't have to worry about, if they're going to meet those financial needs, or if someone were to confront us, that they could keep us safe and defend us. We're attracted to those things truly from an evolutionary perspective. And so that is a big part of why women are attracted to the narcissistic man, because of how they present. And so how our biological wiring feels like that is a good choice as a partner, as a mate. Women are wired to seek out men who would be valuable to their offspring. And so a man who presents in that fashion certainly is sending that message. But it's twofold, because it's not just about how the man presents, but it's also about often the woman's wiring. And when we think about the programming that takes place, so beyond the biological wiring, but we think about the programming that starts in infancy with our primary caregivers. So our interactions with our primary caregivers in infancy sets the foundation of how we do relationships, how we understand relationships, and what we believe relationships are. And so when you think about the difference of a caregiver being warm and nurturing and attentive versus a caregiver that is maybe more aloof or distant, or we have to work to get their attention and their approval, that sets the foundation for what that woman will look for in a romantic partner. And so if the programming that has taken place, maybe with her father, it could be a mother, father, primary caretaker in general. And if that caretaker, if that woman had to work to obtain that acceptance or affection, that is exactly what she'll carry into adulthood. And so the narcissist is the perfect partner to carry out that programming, because you really got to work to get their attention.
Amen.
So
No, this is exactly what we need to talk about, because I say this all the time. And when I speak to women and I talk about our growing up and how we were treated and how, our relationships with our mothers or our fathers, people don't think about that, but that is so important. And I'm going to be very vulnerable and open about it. I mean, that's, in my mind, for me, I'm part of that response. I have to be responsible for the type of people that I bring into my space because of my wiring. If I'm bringing someone like this, because when I see a pattern and I'm like, why is that happening all the time? Like, something's up here, and I can't be just blaming them. I'm part of that problem as well. And that's where, for me,